Today, the show was in a tiny conference room.
Go run and hide. Because what you did, the benefits you denied this community and this city and state, you have to live with that history forever.
Real estate executive Mark Holliday blasted the people who stopped a bold proposal to put a Caesars Palace casino in Times Square. The plan, also backed by Jay-Z's Rock Nation, won't make it past these renderings after a state-commissioned Community Advisory Committee voted against it.
There are plenty of communities in this five boroughs of our great city that want this as an economic driver. They should look at them to invest the jobs they promised. I love Jay-Z and I love Beyonce, but I serve the 75th district.
Yes, people, there are folks that live here.
Residents like Dolores Rubin, who's lived near Times Square her whole life.
The casino cannibalizes a lot of what's already here, and it takes away from Broadway, which is the star of this area.
Well, the answer is no. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Man with the Show, Big Apple Monday, as we're bringing you stories from the Big Apple, NYC. The thing is around here, and we've always said that basically we need to rebuild. We need a mayor that, similar to Giuliani type situation, where basically we can rebuild the city and bring back the tourists. One thing they've been pushing for years is that they wanted to get casinos in here and casinos. We didn't want casinos. They were trying to do it in Manhattan. They tried to do it in Brooklyn, up in the Bronx. An old friend of mine who passed away several years ago, Rich Concepcion, was always an avid advocate for anti-casinos. He wanted Coney Island to be built the way it used to be, as an amusement park, not a casino, not the way they were trying to do in the past. And he has gone to many meetings and protests to this point. He said keep Coney Island the way it is. Many years ago, back when I was in trade school, and we went on, they took our class to a talk show. I forgot the name of the guy on there. I mean, in fact, actually, it was canceled. That episode didn't get to air. The show was canceled after. We were on the last show, but that show didn't air. But it was mostly talk about the rebuild of Coney Island at the time. And this was back in the late 1980s. Now I remember Bill Boggs. That's who I couldn't remember the guy's name, but it was Bill Boggs. I think it was Midday Live, and they had a person on talking about rebuilding Coney Island at that point, because basically everything was coming apart at the seams. Steeplechase Park was not, which was the middle park section on there, was going away. Astroland was okay, needed some restoration. And of course, the Wonder Wheel and all that. Dino's family, they were trying to maintain and keep up with everything. There has been some improvements. There has been some mainstay. Some things have gone up in price, obviously on there, but the park is still there, and it should be maintained. And I think you have the baseball park there, which they also use for concerts, and that's what they should only be there. Is the amusement part of it. We didn't need a casino. So what we're finding out now is the Manhattan plans have pretty much all but been thrown into the garbage at this point. So we're going to read this directly from the New York Post. Manhattan casino plan nixed after board closes door, but gambling facility may still come to NYC. Manhattan was losing bet for casinos. A state board nixed a plan to build a casino near the East River in Manhattan on Monday, knocking down the final existing bid for legal gambling in the borough. 4 out of the 6 members of the Community Advisory Board voted against the Sovny Group Mohan, sorry if I mispronounced, Son's proposal for Freedom Plaza Casino, complex in Midtown East on First Avenue, as the plan faced intense neighborhood opposition. Approval from the local advisory group is needed to enter the next step in fierce competition to get one of up to 3 downstate casino licenses from the State Gaming Commission. Plans that get that advisory group okay will still be vetted by a statewide facility local board. On-board members representing Governor Kathy Hochul and Mayor Eric Adams support the plan. Of course they do. The move to block Freedom Plaza effectively ends the possibility of a casino in Manhattan for the foreseeable future. Just days after the proposal, casino bids for Times Square and the far west side were also rejected, unable to overcome the fierce not in my backyard opposition. Meanwhile, a Coney Island casino bid from the partnerships that include Thor Equities, Chickasaw Nation, Global Gaming Solutions, Saratoga Casino Holdings, and Legends Hospitality Group is likely to get next to be voted down. 3 Brooklyn elected officials, Borough President Antonio Rosano, State Jessica Scarlatti Spanton, and Councilman Justin Brannon issued statements on Monday opposing the project. A 4th Assembly, Alec Brooke Carsney, is also opposed to the project. All 4 elected officials have representatives on the advisory board who are expected to oppose the Coney. The Coney has failed to prove itself as a good and will not improve conditions for the Brooklynites who call Coney Island home, Rinaldo said. Votes will soon take place on casino bids pitched by Mets owner Steve Cohen and Hard Rocks near Citi's Field in Queens and Bally's at former Trump's Golf Course in the Bronx. Jetty's Resorts, whirled by Aqueduct Racetrack and MGM Empire Cities in Yonkers, will also have bids offering live tables at the existing slots and parlors, or so-called racinos. They will be voted soon. The votes by all local city boards must take place by September 30th. The State Gaming Commission expected to decide on the licenses by year end. Mayor Eric Adams said he was disappointed by the knee-jerk opposition on casinos. Under the representative of 3 community advisory committees, elected officials have unfairly taken Manhattan out of the game before it even begun, a mayor spokesman has said. This is an unfortunate outcome as more proposals foster competition, leading to stronger plans that deliver greater public benefits. To be clear, this is not simply a rejection of a new casino in Manhattan. It is a rejection of new housing, new schools, billions of dollars of investment, and more for the borough. No, it's not going to happen that way. 1, we don't need new housing. We could fix the existing housing on that. Schools, yes, okay. But the investments, we can do something better to get good investments in here. He claimed the Manhattan elected officials rejected a combined total of 53,650 construction jobs, 6,500 permanent jobs, and a $36 billion in economic impact over the next 30 years. The Adams administration continued to advocate for fair, competitive process to ensure the state has as many strong options as possible to consider, the City Hall rep said. But see, here's the thing. Anybody out there that have been at Vegas recently? How crappy Vegas looks? Or how about Atlantic City? You know, how are the casinos doing around the country? Not too well. So why should we enter into the business of casinos in New York and Manhattan and the Bronx, Queens? Yonkers might happen. That's the only one that could happen in the foreseeable future because they're the only ones really set up for it already because they'll do it near the racetrack. So it's something that they've done in the past. If you want to fix New York, the housing situation is always an issue. It always comes up. It's always an issue. There's housing. There's housing out there. There's a lot of housing on there. It's the price of the housing is the situation. Now, as far as jobs, we could find better results by fixing up certain things that will allow people to have jobs. Certain neighborhoods like Times Square can do a refurbishment, to that point. The other half, and this is the thing that gets me, and we have the video later on today, is that basically you have advocates out there for more bike lanes, and you're shrinking the traffic lanes smaller and smaller. And it makes it harder for people to move around. Even though, we do have the subways, we do have the buses, but still, you're creating more traffic jams. Most people that come in that are touristy, they're going to grab a cab real quick. They might avoid the subway, use it every once in a while, but most of the time if they have a dinner reservation, they're going to grab a quick cab ride to the restaurant, but then they'll be stuck in traffic. There are still theaters in Times Square that needs a bit of a renovation. Not as bad as it was back when I was growing up, but there's a lot of commercial real estate that's open out there. We could bring in new shopping stores to the city. We could bring in specialty outlets to the store. That's what they should be concentrating on. Bringing back the specialty store. Bringing back sort of like a Soho type store to the city. Because that's how it was before. We used to have some great specialty stores. Unfortunately, because of the way things were going, and then all the violent protests that happened in New York, all the shoplifting and all that, they've driven away those companies, and they're going to drive even more out of here. Right now, Macy's Herald Square needs a full restoration. I know that for a fact. What Macy's has done in the last couple of decades is they've done patchwork. They may redo a floor completely, make it look nice, but it's mostly patchwork. The infrastructure of that store needs a full refurbishment. Plus, also, we've lost a lot of other stores and more to come. We lost the Macy's in Brooklyn. It used to be the old A&S building. We lost that. But you see, the thing about it is, they're going to say, well, casinos on there. You're going to bring the wrong element into there. You might bring some tourists in, but mostly you're going to bring an element of problems to that point. We don't need those problems here. Some of it's already out there, but you're drawing them into certain areas. And we're talking about drugs, prostitution, robbery, the gangs to rob people there because they know they're carrying money with them. We could refurbish this city properly if we take time and get the right investors in here. We'll bring back the tourists. Fix some of our older stuff. Get it up to spec on there. And I'm talking, don't take away its look. Just give it a restoration. Many buildings are like that in Manhattan. So let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts about this? Don't forget to share this video, hit the like, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. This is very important on there. Like I said, Manhattan's out of the bid on there. So it's pretty much Coney Island. Bronx is pretty much the only one left, I think, onto there. Because none was put on the bastard city for New York, and that's right here on Staten Island. But we do have a story about that on our next Man with the Show. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.